let's talk about big rigs. Let's talk about trucks. Let's talk about, that roll down south, from Texas to Cleveland,
Yeah, I've been interested of doing my CDL, because when I told my parents, I said, once I get my license, I want to go straight to my CDL.
And you got your license, and now you could go for your CDL permit, then get your CDL, and then be in a big rig. I mean, you could get a Class B, which is not necessarily a big rig exactly a Class A would be, but it still resembles that. I have been able to drive a Class B truck. The last one I drove was manual. Of course, it was huge. I went to Queens to drive that. The first time that I drove a Class B2 was in Staten Island. I've been able to drive that a few times already.
So both of them was box trucks?
Box trucks are box trucks only because of the weight, which is if it's under 26,000 pounds, then it's classified as a box truck. But if it's over that, it would be classified as a Class B. So it's almost the same thing as a Class B. So it's just the weight is what changes it.
So the truck you say you drove in the city, it was a manual. So was it a box truck or?
It was a Class B. It could be seen as a box truck, but it's a Class
trailer.
B. It's a Class B. It's not a tractor trailer. A Class B is for your CDLB. It resembles a box truck, but it's manual. And when you're driving a Class B truck, specifically in the form of shifting gears, you have to hit the clutch in the same time where you're shifting the gears. And if you let go of the clutch too fast, the truck, it jumps. And the instructor, he was like a little guy. He was smaller than you, I believe. And this guy is like, the truck is jumping him out the seat. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, sir. I'm trying to get this information. Now, I know how to do technology, but you got to be like, understanding. And I practically learned how to shift from 1 to 2. And the shifting gears are usually in a zigzag. So that's how it works. And when it's on neutral, it practically stays in the center. And when it's on neutral, it's on neutral because it's more loose. But when you let go of the clutch specifically, you have to hit the gas. And you have to let go of the clutch calmly. If not, it's going to shut down or it can even jump up. And then also when you don't shift gears and you're hitting the clutch, what can also happen is that it's not, if you don't shift gears properly, it won't go faster. And when you're going slower, you have to shift down. So there's a lot to it.
So you would say you was kind of lucky when the truck jumped instead of shutting off.
It shut off on me a couple of times the first time that I drove a manual Class B truck. It was a very memorable experience, and the instructor says that from a scale of 1 to 10, I got like around an 8. So that's decent. That's decent for somebody that hasn't. I have never driven manual cars like that. So imagine the first time that I'm shifting gears in a manual vehicle. It's a Class B truck, a truck that can take over 26,000 pounds, of course, and that's what classifies it as that specific truck. But a big rig is a Class A, and those are the licenses and the jobs that usually require more state-to-state work. You would take loads from here to California. They would pay you more, but a lot of the truckers that I've spoken to don't want to do Class A because it's a bigger responsibility. You have to be a super driver, like they're saying. There's an intimidation factor, there's a fear factor, and also
true.
They say that for an extra $1,000 or a few $1,000s or whatever, they're not going to leave their family behind, and go to another state for 2-3 weeks to a month, but something that you can do at a young age specifically. So I could see you doing that, man. I would say start off with your Class B, and then throughout that experience, then you could go for an actual big rig, and you can see how it feels to drive something that is practically classified as the largest vehicle on the road. There is super lows that are huge and that are larger than that, and even a Class A, you can actually have 2 of those specific, like, do you know those trailers that attach to the truck? You can have 2 of those big ass trailers attached to one Class A truck, and I believe that is a double. And then you got triples too.
Oh yeah, so basically I think the two places that would do that is more likely like UPS and FedEx, because they do that. They have the single cab trucks, or like a regular truck that carries the two short trailers. They don't have big trailers like the long ones, but they have like the short trailers where you connect the first one, and then the struggle is you have to get another wheel attachment to put it to the back of that trailer, and then the harder part is to try to back all that up into that last trailer.
It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of training.
It's like driving it's like a roller coaster.
Sort of like that, because there's like a lot of variables to attach to that kind of stuff, and
a lot of wheels to make sure that it's going in one direction when you're backing up.
I remember there was once a story of a trucker in Colorado. He was supposed to use an emergency ramp. They call it something like that, right? So the purpose of that specific ramp is to stop a truck that lost its brakes or that had brake failure, and the brakes heated up so much, because there's an engine brake that you use when you are in a truck, especially on the highway, because if you use the foot brake too much, it's going to heat up, and that's where you could lose your brakes. You usually have to inspect the truck before you leave, so there's signs of that. So you have to have some kind of mechanical understanding. Of course, we already have that, so it makes it easier. And he lost his brakes practically, and he passed by those emergency ramps for trucks. It was in Colorado. There's a lot of mountains over there. I traveled over there. It's beautiful, but there's a lot of mountain areas.
I think I see some videos like that on I think I saw a video like that on YouTube. It was like, I think, how many days was it? Because on mine it said like 2 days.
I don't know specifically, but as I was saying, he lost his brakes, and 4 people died from that, right, in the highway in that truck. And he almost got 100 years according to the law out there in that specific state. So when it comes to Colorado, don't play around. And the reason why he was charged like that is because he passed an emergency ramp. And it's easier to talk when you're not in a situation like that. But if the only thing you're looking for is a way out, why don't you magnify that?
Yeah, he basically had a way out.
That's the only thing he was supposed to look for in a situation like that, and for him to bypass it is just crazy to me. But like I said, it's easier to talk when you're outside of the situation. Imagine him in a tractor trailer in a Class 8, almost 100,000 pounds, and the thing is on the loose. He knows that people might get really hurt, and people will probably die.
Some people don't care.
Yeah, it's almost like me. Like, I'm not suicidal at all. I value my life, and I love God and family and all these things, but I would almost rather jump off a cliff with the truck than kill people. If the brakes fail, by the grace of God, it won't happen. But that's how I feel deeply about keeping people safe. I would rather call my mom or my dad, tell them I love them, and just, if the brakes fail, to just allow it to go off the cliff, and I just go down with the boat, than have people that didn't do anything, didn't cause any type of situation get hurt, of course,
Yeah, I talked about those trucks with no brakes. I did see, I think, one film on TikTok. I was going on TikTok and I saw this female driver. I don't know what company she was driving for. She was driving over this bridge in traffic, and then I guess this car or something was coming the opposite way, and she had to like swerve it. And that caused her to hang and dangle off of a bridge from water.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even the trailer hanging. It was the freaking cab that you drive in was literally hanging. And luckily the trailer was holding her.